Good to see you all this July 2nd. It's a beautiful morning here, and I'm so grateful to be here and for you being here, Poppy, and all of our ancestors and your Indigenous teachers and mentors and mine and those we've shared. And our family here helping with all the different parts of making today happen. Those are just a couple of my gratitudes this morning. And I wanted to ask if you could start us off with a prayer of gratitude in the spirit of sacred reciprocity before we jump into asking questions for Shamanic Sundays.
Yeah. Well, reciprocity refers to when we've been given something, especially something meaningful to us, taking notice of that and giving thanks for that, because whatever it is we're being given that's meaningful to us in the moment in our lives is a gift of grace. And so reciprocity is in honoring that gift that's given, and the giver is taking some time to give thanks. So thank you, creative wisdom, power, medicine, energy of the universe, by whatever name we call you. Creator, thank you for giving us the breath of life this day. Thank you for giving us the gift of an incarnation, the opportunity to be alive in this wonderful world, this amazing and challenging world that we get an opportunity through our senses to see and feel and taste and listen to and learn from, how to be in harmony and balance with it, to create a healthy and just win-win world for all that we're capable of doing when we wake up and remember the truth of our being. That through grace, we're sacred and worthy of respect and care and support and celebration and kindness and tenderness and empathy. Luminous beings of light, stardust brought to earth, brought to life, and opportunity to go into our pipes with our awareness and see what kind of blockages are in there, the thought-created blockages, and clean them out, transform them, to polish up our starlight, to be the open channels for the healing light that you give us opportunity in this life to be channels for, flowing out into the world for the healing of the sacred hoop. And thank you for bringing us together here today. And Kimberly, your dedication and vision to making this happen and bringing it through. And Nicole behind the scenes, and gratitude to all listening. And may we all, by joining our hearts and minds and spirits together today, open a doorway to bring through fullest blossoming greatest good. May it be so. Oh, all right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
So we always love it when our community members put questions in the comments, share where you're joining us from, what part of the world, what part of the country or neighborhood you're in, and let us know how you're doing today too. So if there's anything we can do to support you today. So speaking of that, last week there was a question that got posted and we ran out of time. So I want to jump into that. And the question was, in a dependent large group, like a society, and always having a prayer of gratitude and giving thy will be done, is trying to come up with an indigenous prayer for thy will be done. So I'm not quite understanding the question fully, but I think it's like...
Oh, can I interrupt for a sec?
Yeah.
That was from...
you don't want to say people's names, I don't think, unless...
Just Sister K. And we had a private session addressing that, and it had to do with, just to share, because I think I can make a bridge to a more general application of what the question seeks to. This was someone who been sober for I think 16 months. So congratulations to all those working on sobriety and working the 10 steps. And she had been brought up in a some kind of fundamentalist religion. So she had a lot of charge around words like thy will and God. As a lot of people who have been wounded by church pressures, fear-based pressures, and guilt-inducing pressures. And so she wanted to keep working the steps, and but she had to find words that worked for her. instead of words that turned her off. So we explored that and came up with words that did have meaning for her. So I think the medicine of that might have applicability for any of us listening is to not be rigid in how we meet our needs. All of our needs are valid, and part of our work is to learn how to meet those needs in a skillful and healthy way that contributes to harmony in relationships with others, not at the expense of others. And in order to do that, it requires obviously clarity about what our needs are, giving ourselves support for our needs, that we have a right to our needs, and then opening up, taking the steps, as it was with shamanic steps, to help us open to higher consciousness for guidance about how to meet those needs in ways that truly serve our fullest blossoming, greatest good, and all who will be touched by us. And so that if we're totally rigid and tight on, well, we have to use this word or this formula, and from one iota off, or I don't have it quite right, or forget a line, or I ruined it, it's destroyed, or it can't be, it has to stay in these really narrow lines. I'm not a believer in constricting life to just staying in between somebody else's lines, the culturally induced lines of saying should, or this is the way you should be, or it should be. That really doesn't work for me from when I was very little, from my life experiences. Instead, to recognize that, excuse me, we're living in a universe of infinite potential, infinite possibility. And so the challenge is how to use the inherent ability we have to access that higher consciousness, to access it, listen to it, surrender to it, open to its guidance about how to create responses to the challenges in our lives, as demanding as they might be, that can bring something good through, can actually bring fullest blossoming, greatest good through. The work required to open that doorway to bring it through, which comes down to faith and trust, work on the faith and trust and surrender muscles with faith and trust. So rigidity doesn't help us do that, but flexibility does.
Good. I like that. Thank you.
Ah.
That makes sense. Literally and physically. I feel like sometimes when I feel stuck in life, I literally go do some physical stretching, and that helps shift the energy and opens my mind and my heart again.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
By the way, that's Christian, that's a very vital dynamic of shamanic practice, is using the physical, not just the mental, but using the physical and bringing the mental into it, some physical movement and expression to help open up that energy and get those channels open.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Which part?
Just about how we can use the physical to open up the mental and psychological and spiritual and shamanic.
Well, just use this example one of my daughters gave to me once, that she feels stressed out, emotionally stressed out, mentally stressed out. Then she listens to the wisdom in her body that's guiding her to saying, hey, you're a little tight here, a little contracted, so it would be good for you to loosen up. It'd be good for you to open up and release whatever is causing that contraction. And one way you can do that, so it's not just mental, you can bring the mental thought of that into actually your physical body, bringing your awareness into your body, noticing where there's tightness and contraction, and breathe into it. And it's so interesting, certainly my experience, I don't think I'm unique. If we really listen to our bodies with sensitivity and pay attention to what's happening energetically in our bodies, then they'll guide us. They'll say, oh, I want to move a little bit this way. Oh, I want to move a little bit that way. Oh, I want to stretch back and open up and just hang here for a while, breathing in and out. Okay, I've had enough of that. Now I'd like to, yeah. And so it just guides us, if we're paying attention, the wisdom of the physical body. When we bring the mental, that's triggering emotional response, to focus on, I want to release. I notice I'm tense, I'm constricted, I'm inflamed, my pipes are clogged up, and I'm suffering. What can I do to change that? Use the physical. You might go outside and go for a walk. You might do some jumping jacks. You might do some Tai Chi. You might go to the gym and work out. You might just walk at the beach. Whatever it is, but doing something physical with carrying the intention to help release and let go and express through the physical opens the doorway for the new breath to come in. It was trying to come in before, but it had a hard time because the energy field was so tight, it couldn't get very far. And that just weakens the whole energy field and more suffering. So using the physical to work with the mental and psychological and the spiritual, bringing them all together. Oh.
Yeah. So when I think of like one of the core principles for me, when I think about shamanism, it's just this recognition that there's so much more going on here than that we think we know is going on here.
Yeah.
And that includes with the relationship between mind and body. But since we're on that, since we're on that subject, could you talk a little bit more about the indigenous wisdom perspective, shamanic wisdom perspective of the connection between body, mind, and whatever is the bigger thing going on here in the universe? Spirit, nature, God, goddess, whatever it is that might be out there, or combo of all that.
It's really a different understanding. Speaking about indigenous consciousness, which, by the way, if we drop deep enough inside of us, we all have, because if we go back far enough, we're all sitting around the grandpa fire and Mother Earth and doing our songs and ceremonies and living our lives and remembering the interconnectedness of everything. So it's a totally different consciousness than the ones we grew up in Eurocentric, Western mainstream consciousness, which is inculcated in us unconsciously, the belief in separation, that there's a separate thing between the mind and the body and the spirit and the tree and the rock and that other person and and the wind. It's all separate stuff, separate physical things with space in between of separation. And so it's disconnected, it's fragmented. And that's the root source of the pain and suffering we have, that we feel disconnected. And therefore it breeds fear and anxiety and everything that comes from that. So it's a really different consciousness that indigenous ones were born into before the indigenous culture started getting oppressed by the European invasion force. So they're struggling to survive. So I'm talking about, you might say, the initial indigenous understanding that is in all of us at deeper levels. The Huichols have a word, yari, which means heart memory. So deep down inside of our hearts is the memory of consciousness that we were born into and supported, nurtured, fertilized, you might say, empowered, the awareness that everything's connected, that there's no such thing as something that's separate. We're all part of we're all, like you might say, a strand in a weave, an infinite weave, an interwoven weave in which everything seen and unseen, visible and invisible to ordinary eye of consciousness is connected, interwoven, is one. So there, in the indigenous consciousness, there isn't the crisis of based on those perceptions of separation, the identity of ego as something separate that has to be defended, and whose stories are ego stories are the absolute truth of everything. There's the underlying understanding, connection, awareness of spirits present in everyone, and everything, and everywhere, and all the time. Spirit's always present, and it's always seeking to bring through fullest blossoming, greatest good. I mean, you look at the history of the universe and just the movement from a simple one point exploding out into the Big Bang and out of quote unquote nothing, creating stars and galaxies and universes and Mother Earth and butterflies and flowers and whales and all the gifts of creation. And it's all present and it's all here right now, and we're all connected. And so what comes out of that? What comes out of that understanding is respect. There's respect, appreciation, gratitude for the sacred mystery underlying everything that we see and know and feel, and for the manifestations that we experience in nature and through our own nature. Is respect, appreciation, gratitude for the miraculousness of this sacred mystery that we're a part of. And instead of trying to control it, the Western Eurocentric approach, try to control it, instead show some humility, open up to paying attention to how it works so we can learn how to work in harmony and balance with it, because ultimately by doing so we're aligning ourselves with the creative wisdom powers of the universe, and we can call on those powers to help us address and shapeshift the challenging situations that we're in, to open that doorway, Nearika, to bring through fullest blossoming greatest good. And that's why we're in the situations of being alive now and in the individual challenges of our lives. How can I create a response to whatever the situation is and what it's triggering inside of me? How can I create a response to it? How can I use that energy to help me grow in the ways I want to grow? Which brings us back to, what are the ways we want to grow? What do we value most in life? What qualities of being and consciousness? And then how can I grow them? And how can I use what's happening here in the challenge that I'm in to grow those qualities, whatever they may be? And that's the vehicle of waking up, of wising up, and remembering why we're here, to live love now toward fullest blossoming, greatest good, and the healing of this sacred hoop, contributing the gifts we have to that healing process. Not being attached to the outcome, because that constricts us, but being alive in the process of the moment of waking up, wising up, and doing the best we can in our humanness to live love now. Oh.
Thank you.
All right.
So that all makes me think of a couple of days ago in the Wall Street Journal, there was a article about all these tech entrepreneurs using drugs, and there being a drug movement that magic mushrooms, LSD, ketamine, ayahuasca. They're hoping it will expand minds and enhance lives and, produce business breakthroughs and, make them a bunch of money. And there was a quote about one of the people saying, think of these as smart drugs, right? And then a couple of days ago, I was at an event. I was very grateful to be invited to this event in San Francisco that all these kind of leading minds in AI and technology were each presenting 5 minutes on the positive aspects of AI, artificial intelligence, and how it's really easy for all of us, led by the media, to be really fearful of AI, because the story, the soundbite that's sort of easiest for the media to tell and then for us to grab onto is, the robots are going to get smarter than us. They're going to take over and kill us all, right? But there's also a lot of really positive uses for AI already and potentially in the future. So it's a both and. But one of the young, brilliant minds that was one of the featured speakers made a comment about us, humanity, not knowing until this time what real intelligence is. And then he went into his spiel about, how AI is going to show us what real intelligence is. And I was literally like, my mouth and jaw were just hanging open, because I was like, have you not seen a sunrise and you don't think there's some bigger intelligence behind that? Or, the way that just the miracles of every single gift of our life, that everything that had to go right for me, Kimberly, to be sitting here talking to you, Tom, and with Emma and Robin and Heather here in our community, and Donna, and every single one of us sitting here right now together, so many things had to go right for that to happen. And you don't think, dude, that there's some intelligence behind all that? So totally, on one hand, baffling, on the other hand, not at all surprising, because the arrogance of a person like him and his experiences to this point in his life. Anyways, all that goes to say that I feel like all of this is really people trying to reconnect with that ultimate intelligence, that heart memory, because we've gotten so far away from it. And so we're looking to these extreme real intelligences like AI to help us get back there. So that just seemed really fitting to hear what you were just talking about compared to that article and that experience that I had at that event the other night. And so
It's an arrogance.
oh, complete. Well, yeah, it's like an arrogance and a fear, which are, I guess, really connected. But since we know that everybody really likes you leading us in visualizations on these days, and they're a form of prayer, I feel like, could you guide us in a visualization of reconnecting to our ultimate, like our heart memory and our ultimate intelligence out there within us too?
Sure.
Okay.
Con mucho gusto. So visualization, with our eyes open, of course, we see the physical manifestations of each other right now and whatever background there is. And so this work that you're calling us to do, and thank you for it, inner awareness. So just let our eyelids drop down over our eyeballs. So we cut off the energy input visually from the external world. And we have our awareness in the looks within place, in which there's no separation. And just letting our awareness be aware of whatever we're experiencing right now. Be aware of whatever you're experiencing, what you're sensing, what you're feeling, what you're hearing, what you're seeing with your eyes closed. And with that inner awareness, noticing we're being breathed. We're being breathed by something larger than us. We don't create that life force energy that flows in with the breath. We didn't create it. We don't know how to create it. It's created by the Creator, sending it into us, flowing into us, bringing us life. And if our pipes are open, and if they're not, we can bring awareness to it and breathe into those places where there's knots of tension or constriction and help them release and let go. And so that flow of life coming in with the breath can move more easily through the pipes of our being, bringing that healing light and love, life force. And noticing is part of our process of being breathed. The design, the wisdom design that the universe manifests in us as a physical being is, for each breath in, there's also a letting go. And when we allow that breath releasing to really extend itself for as long as it wants to go, like dropping all the way down into the basement on the elevator, letting the breath release from our belly. And there's a pause, a still moment. And then the next wave of life force comes in. And with our awareness, focusing our attention on our intention to reconnect with the creative wisdom power of the universe, going down into our hearts. Excuse me. Bringing that gift of awareness and the breath of life down into our hearts, perhaps even able to feel into our hearts beating, taking a moment to see if we can open to feeling and sensing the pulsations of our heart. Drumbeat of life. Our hearts receiving that gift of life, the gift of our intention, and 24/7 pumping out the life force through our body. And so we can bring our awareness, if we choose to, gratitude, thanksgiving to our hearts. Whether we pay attention to them or not, they keep pumping and pumping and pumping, working for us. They stop pumping, we're not here. Working for us 24/7, pumping out that life force. So breathing appreciation into our hearts. Thank you for that work you do. Thank you for pumping out that life force through me, veins and valves and capillaries, pumping out that life force. Thank you for that work. Thank you for your unconditional love. 24/7, pouring that out through me. Thank you. Thank you. And you can allow your awareness of gratitude for that heart pumping out the life force to connect with the source from where that life force comes from, flowing in with each breath. The creative wisdom, power, energy of the universe, pumping out that life force. And all the gifts of creation, pumping out that life force. Opening our hearts to receive it. Each breath in. Metaphorically blossoming the flowers in our hearts, the seeds in our hearts of love and compassion and empathy and tenderness and consideration and generosity and courage and strength and persistence to keep going through the hard times with compassion for ourselves and taking good care of ourselves, respecting and honoring ourselves as sacred, worthy, luminous beings through grace, grace from the Creator, the source of all. So each breath flowing down into our hearts, expanding that love light in our hearts and letting it flow through our bodies, and a stream of energy, stream of gratitude going from our hearts back to the source, which is everywhere, which is infinite. Thank you for this sacred gift of right now. Thank you for all the gifts that I have to be thankful for in my lives. And no matter our challenges, no matter our difficulties, no matter our emotional state or a mental state that can just be so wiping us out in reactivity, suffering. Underneath all of that, underneath those waves on the surface of the ocean is the deep inner peace, calm, serenity, connection place with the underlying oneness, with the infinite, unconditional light and love energy that we are in a field, immersed, interwoven in a field of infinite, unconditional light, love, energy. Gratitude for this infinite, underlying, unconditional light, love, wisdom, energy. It's always pumping out as our hearts pump out the life force, always pumping out wisdom guidance to us about how to create responses to the challenges that empower us, polish our starlight, so we are vehicles. We are vehicles of conscious change. We polish up our light, actualizing our ability to be agents of conscious change, of transformation, of a fear-based world based on those illusionary perceptions of separation, into the awareness of connecting awareness, attuning awareness, and communing our awareness with the infinite creative wisdom power of the energy of the universe. Breathing in that life force and sending out gratitude. Remembering the saying that grace grows where gratitude flows. Grace grows where gratitude flows. And peace provides, and wisdom guides, and love provides, peace abides, wisdom guides, love provides, peace abides, thankfulness for peace, wisdom guides, thankfulness for wisdom, and love provides. Thank you for all that love provides. Letting all of this and whatever it brings up, these words ring up in you, flow through you, and bring in true energy that polishes up the beauty of your stardust to help you shine in your life on this day that we're given, the birth, the fullness, the sacredness of our divinity into life. Oh, and when we're ready, taking a nice big breath and breathe out, open our eyes, come back into being here, and good to see you. First thing I see when I open my eyes is seeing you. Oh.
Hi, hi, hi. And
Hey.
you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Oh.
I love the phrase about unconditional love light energy, always pumping out wisdom guidance that is available to us. Always there. That's a good one to take into the week with us. It also made me think of one of my favorite quotes by Chief Oren Lyons. I think we talked about him last week too, actually, or the week before. But I mean, it was longer than this, but the gist of it is that we have two obligations in life. One is to give thanks, and the other is to enjoy the gift of this life. So may you, Poppy, and you, our community, everyone out there joining us on the Shamanic Sundays, may you remember to feel that unconditional love light energy flowing through all of us, and giving thanks for that and enjoying the gifts of life. So,
May it be so. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you all for being here. Anything else you want to say, Poppy?
Yeah, I'm just so thankful for you and your listening ear, vision guidance to initiate this and bringing us together, and for the wisdom that flows through you. So you bring me great joy, and letting that joy flow out to all our listeners for the gifts of our lives. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. We will see you next week. Please share this with friends, family who also may benefit from it, and send us questions ahead of time if you have any, and have a great week. Let your love flow.
Okay. Oh.
All right. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.